Chapter 8. Mel.
What are you doing?
Norm asked, pouring coffee into his cup. Cleaning my desk. You know how I am about clutter.
Maybe if he gave your little friends a new home.
He waved his cup in the direction of my action figures, spilling coffee onto the floor.
Shit.
He put the cup down, grabbed a handful of paper towels from the counter, and bent over to wipe up the spill. That's when the new intern walked in. Norm's butt in the air and me holding a Game of Thrones Jon Snow action figure. She stood there for a moment, taking in the scene. This was the first time I'd seen her, and Norm's description was largely accurate. My eyes went to her legs before I could stop myself, but they were covered. She wore loose Indian-style pants and a t-shirt that said, "Just say no to GMO."
Hi, you must be Mel. Or do you prefer Melissa? People are always calling me Millie, but I prefer Mildred, although I don't always feel that way.
She stepped forward, hand held out. I shook it and said, "Mel is good."
Mildred Pierce,
she said, pushing her hair behind her ears. I must have given her a blank look because she continued.
You know, the movie. My mother was a big Joan Crawford fan.
Norm startled us both by shouting,
"No more wire hangers!"
in his best Joan Crawford voice. He grinned and pointed at the white paper box in Mildred's hands.
You brought us donuts?
He asked hopefully.
Oh, yes. No, not donuts.
She opened the box. Inside, I could see half a dozen round objects studded with what looked like raisins.
They're whole-grain carrot muffins. They used applesauce instead of sugar and dried cranberries instead of raisins. I would have gotten the ones with walnuts, but I didn't know if either of you had allergies.
Thanks, I said, standing up. I felt compelled to take one and raised my eyebrows at Norm, who stared silently at the muffins as if they were a live ordnance. The muffin had heft, and I resisted the sudden urge to see if it would put a dent in the wall. Norm hesitantly removed one for himself. I knew he would drop it in the trash, untasted. I think I'll warm it up, I said, heading for the break room.
You can have that desk,
Norm said, pointing to the corner.
That's not the fastest computer, but it works.
Warmed up, the muffin was barely edible. When I returned from the workroom, Norm was showing something on the computer to Mildred. I was about to open a file when a voice said,
"Is there a Melissa here?"
I stood up and faced the intruder, a 30-something guy with brown hair and blue eyes. I said, "I'm Melissa. Could I help you with something?"
My name is Ken. I'm here to get some more info on the UFO report.
Oh yeah, that's right, I said. I spun my chair around and motioned him towards my computer. I completely forgot he had emailed me 2 days ago. I pulled another chair over and motioned for him to sit. He sat down and scooched his chair closer to mine. I resisted the urge to move back. I have a thing about people encroaching on my personal space. Ken was holding a manila folder. I cleared a space on my desk next to him. "Do you want some coffee?" I asked. "Or a muffin?" Ken carefully placed his finger on Jon Snow's head.
What do you think of Jon Snow going out with Ygritte in real life?
I smiled and said, I was kind of hoping he'd hook up with Daenerys. Of course, they still might. On the show, that is. He continued to study the little action figure.
Aren't they related?
The characters? Yeah, she's his aunt. I shrugged. Of course, there's a lot of speculation about what might or might not happen. Ken smiled and settled into his chair.
You follow that stuff online?
Mostly through Facebook groups.
Like what?
Everything Game of Thrones is a good one. And there's Alt-Shift-X on YouTube. He has some great theories.
Have you read the books?
Yeah, the story's good, of course. But I was always kind of put off by the ye oldies stuff. Ken nodded in agreement and continued.
Okay, I got a joke for you. Why doesn't George R.R. Martin use Twitter?
Why?
He already killed 140 characters.
I smiled. I've heard that one before. I said, so what are we supposed to be talking about?
The Truro UFO report.
Well, I looked back through my notes, and there's really not much else I can tell you. Like I said, I put everything in the report. The officer spotted the UFO over Payment Hollow, followed it for a while, then lost it.
Where did he lose track of it?
At the end of Long Neck Road, going out over the ocean towards Hanging Valley. Ken thought for a second, then said,
There's a parking lot out there, and a path that goes down to the beach.
Yeah, I used to go to that beach, I said. I almost broke my neck going down that cliff. He laughed.
That was our high school drinking spot. The cops wouldn't chase us down there. We would just wave at them from the beach.
Speaking of drinking, I said, the Wellfleet Beachcomber is just south of there.
I've been there a million times. Remember Smitty, the bartender?
The image of Smithy flashed in my mind. He makes me many a sea breeze, my drink of choice at the time. I said, what did you always say? If you're drinking to forget... Ken continued.
Please pay in advance.
We both laughed.
Did you ever see The Incredible Casuals there?
More than once. Best way to spend a Sunday afternoon if you're sick on the beach.
And wanted to start your drinking early.
He pulled out a book that was hiding behind his manila folder.
I noticed this sighting was in the same area as the Bud Hopkins sighting.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Did you know he was also an expressionistic painter? He had a Truro studio and he used to go swimming at Boston Beach. I have this copy of his book called Art, Life, and UFOs, a memoir.
He handed it to me. I flipped through it while he spoke.
He experienced a UFO sighting back in August of 1964. He was driving through Truro on Route 6 when he saw a lens-shaped object in the sky.
Ken handed me a piece of paper.
This is the sketch he drew of a sighting.
The sketch showed a road labeled Route 6 heading towards Provincetown. Little arrows indicated wind direction and where the UFO was in relation to the dunes and water.
He watched it for a while as it moved in front of and behind some cloud until it eventually moved out over the ocean.
Bud's UFO looks like it's in the distance, I said. This one was, apparently, right over Truro. The officers I spoke with said it was huge and V-shaped.
It affected him so much that he started researching other UFO sightings. New York Times called him the father of the alien abduction movement.
Did he ever say he was abducted?
No. He just studied people who claim they were.
Sounds like he was the Fox Mulder of the 60s.
So you're into the X-Files too?
You do realize there was an episode of the X-Files set on Cape Cod.
Was it the spontaneous combustion guy episode?
That's the one. Though, of course, it was filmed in Vancouver.
Right. Vancouver, Cape Cod. Who the hell's gonna know?
I laughed. Mildred appeared beside us and said,
Excuse me, Melissa?
I correct her. Mel.
Sorry, Mel. Sorry to interrupt.
She said in a slightly sing-songy voice.
Is there a water dispenser here of some sort?
No, but there's a couple of Cokes in the fridge if you're thirsty. Mildred frowned.
Do you know if we're going to get one?
A water cooler. Here? You'd have to ask Norm. But they wouldn't even send us a decent printer, so I doubt they'll pay for a water cooler.
Okay, thanks.
She replied and backed away from my desk. Ken and I watched her wander over to Norm at his computer. He stopped typing and looked up at her, his expression blank.
Hi, sorry to bother you. Can I ask you something?
Norm just looked up at her.
Do you think we can get a water dispenser here?
His eyes went quickly to me.
There's a sink in the break room.
Will we be getting a bottled water dispenser at some point?
Norm shrugged.
I doubt it, but anything's possible.
Oh, I hope so. I have negative reactions to fluoride. It's important that I have access to, at the very least, bottled water.
He looked over at me for a second, then hesitantly said to her,
Okay.
Do you know what really works best? A reverse osmosis system.
Mildred was oblivious to the what the fuck look on Norm's face. She continued.
It's the best method of removing contaminants from your drinking water. I usually bring my own, but I forgot it today. So I thought I would ask.
She gave him a quick smile, then went back to her desk. Ken leaned closer and whispered.
Negative reactions from fluoride?
I muttered to Ken, I get negative reactions from millennial entitlement.
What was the quote from Dr. Strangelove? Fluoridation is part of the communist conspiracy?
To sap and purify all of our precious bodily fluids. We laughed together. Ken and I spoke for another 20 minutes, comparing places on the Cape that we've explored in movies that we liked. I eventually had to show him out of the office because I had some deadlines to hit.